What is good, YouTube, man? Today I got us a good, interesting video that it's kind of on the topic of free agents, and it's really kind of not. I really just want to talk about two guys that I think could honestly take a huge step in the Gus Bradley system. You know, the Gus Bradley Cover 3 Legion of Boom system. So today, I mean, it's simple, man. As we all know, Gus Bradley runs that 4-3 under defense that is a 4-3 shell, but really has the rules sometimes of a 3-4 defense, which I know a lot of people wanted to switch into, and a lot of people didn't want to. They wanted to switch, like, just keep the normal role of a, you know, the normal 4-3 traditional style defense. But there's a couple of guys that I think are really excel into this Gus Bradley's cover 3 scheme that he goes with, and I kind of want to compare two guys, man. So with this talk with John Gruden that he had on the podcast with Richard Sherman, you know, we heard how they were talking together, you know, and it's possible that we could bring in a guy like Richard Sherman, but who I really want to talk about, and I will be comparing to a guy like Richard Sherman, is someone who's already on our roster. Somebody who has a lot of the similarities of him is Isaiah Johnson, man. I really like Isaiah Johnson. He was able to single-handedly win us that Chargers game in a terrible style defense, man. He showed up in big plays. He caused the Jonathan Abram pick in the Atlanta Falcons game. He made a huge play on a slant, dove, batted the ball into the air, and Jonathan Abram was, you know, able to pick the ball off. But I think Isaiah Johnson, he's a phenomenal kind of talent, because you compare his size, his speed, and all that kind of stuff, and you look at what Gus Bradley was able to do with a guy like Richard Sherman that came out in the 5th round, guys. Richard Sherman was a 5th round pick, you know. Gus Bradley said it. He said when he came in, he's not a guy that needs veterans to be in his system. He doesn't need veterans to play in the system. And we all know that in that horrible cover 6 style Gunther trash defense, he needed veterans to know what to do. But I really want to compare some things. So Richard Sherman potentially could be a target for the Raiders. Is 6'3", ran his 40-yard dash in 4.56 seconds. Okay, he has that long body frame, tall, lengthy arms, big wingspan, that kind of stuff. And you saw what Gus Bradley was able to involve him into. Then you look at a guy like Isaiah Johnson. So Richard Sherman is 6'3", Isaiah Johnson is 6'2.5". Isaiah Johnson 6'2.5", and ran his 40-yard dash, guys. I don't think a lot of people understand this. He is 6'2.5", is 15 pounds heavier than Richard Sherman, but ran his 40-yard dash in a 4.4 flat 40-yard dash. That's insane to me. This is why I didn't understand why guys like Nevin Lawson consistently got playtime and guys like Isaiah Johnson didn't. It would pain me, man. You look at what Gunther did. He completely just tore down the development of some of our young guys. He wasted years of some of our young guys. Isaiah Johnson, like I said, only half an inch shorter, but 15 pounds heavier, and can run a 4.4 40-yard dash. You compare that to what Richard Sherman did. Richard Sherman was a 5th round pick, and, you know, not many thought highly of him. When you look back into the same year, that because Trayvon Mullen and Isaiah Johnson were both brought in the same year, if you guys watched later on the Raiders series that they do every year with the where they show the videos of the call when they give those guys the call that they're going to be coming into the Raiders, when they called Isaiah Johnson, they said, "We were surprised that you're still here. We were thinking of taking you in the 2nd round where we got Trayvon Mullen." So you look at that. and see that Mayock and Gruden both thought of Isaiah Johnson as an early second round talent, because that is where we got Trayvon Mullen. And you look at that's how they believe that they think that Isaiah Johnson was a second round talent, because they were contemplating whether taking Isaiah Johnson or Trayvon Mullen in that second round that year. And we were still able to get Isaiah Johnson in the 4th round that same year. I think this is the thing. Gus Bradley's cover 3 scheme, it really allows players to develop what they're already good at. You don't need to be the best at everything to shine in his defense. And that's what I really like about his defense, because Jonathan Abram, hard hitter. Let's use him for an example. Jonathan Abram's a hard hitter. Sometimes he looked great in coverage where he had a couple of plays downfield, especially like the one he had against Tyreek Hill in the first matchup against the Chiefs. But we all want him to be. You see the amount of tackles that he gets, and that's from him playing 15, 18 yards back. Imagine what he would do if he was only 10 yards back from the play. He would get into the play even more. So you look at at Gus Bradley's system, a guy like Isaiah Johnson can do what Richard Sherman did. What they were able to do with Sherman was, listen, he's not the fastest, ran a 4.5, not the fastest. You're facing guys that are 4.4s, 4.3s. But guess what? In our system, you have what we need in the lengthy body build to really make plays, and that's exactly what we can get out of a guy like Isaiah Johnson. Listen, in Gus Bradley's system, in the 4-3 under, it looks like you got 5 down linemen, but on the line of scrimmage, but you really have 4 actual defensive linemen and then a linebacker. The linebacker is gonna leak out into a flat to cover the flats, and you're gonna have three. It's gonna give you a front of, it looks like 3 linebackers, but one of them is your strong safety. So in our case, it's gonna be Jonathan Abram coming down into the linebacker role. He's gonna be playing he's either gonna go out to a flat or he's gonna be playing in the middle of the field. So you're gonna have a linebacker in the flat, another either linebacker or a strong safety in the other flat on the other side of the field, and you're gonna have 2 guys covering the middle. And then you still have 3 guys going deep and covering every deep ball. So most likely, this is the thing. If you bring in Richard Sherman, that's even better, because not only is he going to be able to teach Isaiah Johnson how to be, not him, but, how to excel in that defense, because they're basically the same guy, just one doesn't have the crazy long dreads, but they're basically the same guy, man, except that Isaiah Johnson is heavier and significantly faster. So I really think that this year we could see an Isaiah Johnson, a huge increase in a role in snaps due to the simple fact of Gus Bradley. And this is what I wanted to compare him to Richard Sherman for the simple fact that they're gonna be playing their same role at one point in their careers. Richard Sherman already played that role years ago with the Legion of Boom, and he might be coming in again this year. So if you have already a guy like Isaiah Johnson, he's gonna get a lot more snaps this year, for the fact that we got Gus Bradley. So he's already gonna get a shot, because Gus Bradley likes his DBs like that long, lengthy, big body build. But like I said, a 4.4 is being ran by Isaiah Johnson. And Richard Sherman only ran a 4.56 and was a top 3 corner in his prime. So you have Gus Bradley, and then if you do bring in Richard Sherman, then you have not only Gus Bradley teaching him on the practice field, but then you have Richard Sherman mentoring him in game in the big time games. You have somebody mentoring him off the field and on the field, whether it's in practice, out of practice, or in games. I think Isaiah Johnson, if I were to say, Isaiah Johnson has the highest ceiling of all of our DBs in our room. We have Arnett, we have Trayvon. I think Trayvon is past his floor. He's already better than what he was last year, I believe. So I think if I were to say who can reach the highest amount of potential out of Arnett, Mullen and Isaiah Johnson, I'd say Isaiah Johnson, man. Just hear me out. 15 pounds heavier, runs a 4.4, and has the long frame. And in college was a big time player. He just never got the shot his rookie year. He had that face injury, got a knee in the head where he fractured part of his forehead or his skull. He didn't get a shot, and in that year he would have got a lot of reps because we had a poor secondary, we had a poor defensive back room, and then the next year we brought in Arnett. So then he got buried in the depth chart. So if we bring in a guy like Razor Sherman that can teach even more to Isaiah Johnson, I think that'll be phenomenal. But that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, man. I really do think that Isaiah Johnson, because of Gus Bradley, and also because Paul Gunther's just trash and he's gone, I think Isaiah Johnson he's probably gonna be our most improved player next year, and I think one of our best impact players next year. As far as our other players, I think who's gonna have a sort of a breakout year on our defense is gonna be Jonathan Abram and Cleveland Ferrell. I think Max Crosby is what he is already. I don't think he's gonna get any better than what he is already. Max Crosby had 10 sacks last year. 10 sacks his rookie year, 6 sacks last year. Great. I really like that. You're talking about a guy who's getting 6 sacks, and all the attention was on him this year because when Ferrell was out, then we had Arden Key or Nassib in, and no teams are going to key in on those guys. They were going to key on Max Crosby. Crosby, we know what he is. He's a good player. I think Ferrell, you saw before he was getting injured, he was really coming around as a pass rusher. We know his first year, he was a good run stopper. We all knew that. But he was really coming into a good pass rusher in his second year until he got injured. You know, we never want to see anybody get injured. And as for Jonathan Abram, I think a lot of the Raider Nation overreacted in his. I feel like we let the bad overlook the good that he did this year. He had 2 horrible plays that should never happen, but you're also talking about he's a guy that he wanted to make plays. How many weeks did you see our players want to make plays? And that game that we lost, yes, he wasn't in his coverage, but he wanted to make that play. He wanted to go attack Mahomes. And you start to wonder, man, why is he so eager to try and go after Mahomes? Because we couldn't get after him, man. We weren't getting after him in that second game the same way we were in that first game. So I don't blame him for trying to make a play that game. I think he showed us a lot of good last year, but we overreacted for all the bad, the couple bad that he did do. And I think that's mostly all on Paul Gunther, but there is a lot of disciplinary actions that he needs to take. That's the only thing that I think he was bad at. That he was sometimes, he let his emotions really get to him, and those are selfish acts, and he can easily clean that up. You know, those penalties, we never need penalties, man. The refs are already against the Raiders, and we all know that. So if we can minimize things like that, it'll be even better. But those 3 guys, Ferrell, I think is going to take off next year. I think Jonathan Abrams is going to excel in the role that's playing down more closer to the line of scrimmage, with the fact that Gus Bradley is going to shove him down closer to a linebacker role. And he'll be either in the middle of the field or in the flat, so he's not covering as much. The same with guys like Littleton, who's also just going to be stuck into a flat. He's going to be able to lock down a lot of players easier. And like I said, I think Isaiah Johnson is going to be one of our best DBs next year. Arnett, when it comes to Arnett, I really like Arnett. He's a really physical player, and he couldn't show off his physicality last year because he was playing with one hand. You can't be physical. You can't be a physical press man guy when you're pressing with one hand. It's not going to work. He was really limited. Also, he was put in bad positions to succeed all year with Paul Gunther when he was healthy. And a lot of people try to blame him that he doesn't know how to tackle. Man, we were complaining year after year, when are we going to find a corner that can tackle? When are we going to find an aggressive corner? That's what he is. He was showing us his aggressiveness by putting his body on the line to make tackles, man. I don't blame him for that stuff. Yes, maybe his tackling needs to get better, but guess what? Gus Bradley implements the hawk tackle, and that is one of the most secure tackling in the NFL, and it's shown it. Each defense, his tackling, he's coached, his defensive tackling has been superb. So, as for Richard Sherman and Isaiah Johnson, I think those two, if they can play together on one team, even better. I think it'll help excel Isaiah Johnson even more. But I really wanted to compare Richard Sherman and Isaiah Johnson because I think they're very similar kinds of players, similar kinds of guys, similar kinds of builds. But Isaiah Johnson's even more athletic, can make even more plays. So I just really wanted to talk about Isaiah Johnson and Richard Sherman for the simple fact that Richard Sherman played under Gus Bradley before, could be playing with us again this year. And Isaiah Johnson, because he hasn't gotten a chance, and I think he will get a chance for the simple fact that his body frame is a lot like Richard Sherman. So, yeah, let me know anything else that you guys think I should talk about. I will be doing another video today, talking about some guys that I think we could bring in, some other guys, talking about different players that we should bring in more on the defensive line side, and talking more about that 3-4 under kind of scheme, and who I think will really, who on our depth chart will really excel under that 3-4 scheme. And yeah, man, just let me know anything I can improve on in these videos. Let me know what else kinds of content you guys want to see, and give me your feedback, man. Give me, if you like this kind of style video where I compare two guys that can possibly be on our team, or compare two guys, you know, builds and coaching ability. Let me know in the comments, man. Let me know players that I can talk about. So besides that, nation, I think that's it for today, and thank you.